only to put women's softball on a higher level, and because softball here in North Alabama on the high school level, on the college level, it is exceptionally high quality. But this here is a showcase for North Alabama to possibly put it in the minds of the Southeastern Conference to host the Southeastern Conference softball tournament at Toyota Field. And I'll say this, the director of SEC officials, umpires, the Southeastern Conference was there in attendance yesterday, and he'll be there throughout the whole thing because he lives in Madison or in Huntsville, just right up the road from him. But anyway, he was there in attendance, turned to me and said, they've got my vote. And he goes, I called the people at the conference and said they could easily do it. So kudos to everybody involved. Now, the bad part is UAH fell 2-1 to North Georgia. Just couldn't get the offense, couldn't get that right hit, couldn't get the timely hit. But they fall. Alabama takes on Jack State last night. They get a win 7-4 in the nightcap. They trailed JSU early, but then they drove in a pair of runs in the top of the second. No, Jacksonville State, I should say, drove in a pair of runs in the top of the second. With 2 on and 2 out in the bottom of the third, Alabama started to roar back, pair of home runs. They got one in the fourth as well. And so there they go. Let's see here. Junk folder or spam folder. We're trying to get Drew DeArmond on the show, and he had an email. So you know what? Maybe his email went to his junk folder or his spam folder or his trash. Maybe he needs to check there. Maybe it went in there.
It might have. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea.
So I just sent him a note saying, try your junk folder or spam folder because it may have gone in there.
First world problems right there.
We're trying to get Drew DeArmond on the show, live programming. That's how we're going to do this today. So that was the big news. So they are not playing softball today, obviously. They are not playing softball tomorrow, but they will play on Friday. So if you get a chance, go out Friday, go out Saturday. I know it's going to be probably a little chilly, but watch softball out there. It was great. The other thing that happened last night, and it is a history one. It involves North Alabama basketball and our good friend Jakari Lane. UNA last night started the night in a tie with Lipscomb for the top spot in the ASUN Conference. And, of course, Lenny Acuff, head coach of the Lipscomb Bisons, our good friend, former UAH head coach. Lipscomb falls last night to Eastern Kentucky. UNA at home against West Georgia. Yes, the same West Georgia that was in the Gulf South Conference last year, won the Gulf South Conference tournament. UNA beat West Georgia last night 80-62. They get the season sweep of the Wolves. But in that game, with the win, UNA 20-8 now overall, 12-3 in the ASUN. They are now alone in first place in the league. They extend their home court winning streak to 11 games, which dates back to November. They are riding a current 6-game win streak, and they are 8-0 at home during conference play. The other thing that was achieved last night, Jakari Lane achieved not one, but 2 Division I school records on the same night. Jakari Lane, the former Lehigh standout. He led the Lions with 22 points and 3 assists. With that, Lane broke UNA's Division I scoring record with 1,355 points. He passed the former record holder, Jamari Blackman, for 6th on the school's all-time scoring list. But he wasn't done there. He broke his own Division I school record for assists in a season with 123. He broke the record as a freshman with 108 assists and broke his own record last year with 122. So he's broke his own record twice. He still has 3 regular season games remaining. So that 123 assist mark will change again. He will change it. It'll go up. But Jakari Lane is having an ASUN Player of the Year season. And the Lions right now are having a remarkable run. Think about this. UNA, and I still believe, and hopefully I am right about this, Jack State is sitting atop Conference USA standings. UNA is sitting atop the ASUN standings, and our own UAH Chargers have won a share of the regular season Gulf South Conference title. All 3 at one time have been in the Gulf South Conference. Jack State was in the Gulf South Conference, UNA was in the Gulf South Conference, and now UAH is still there. And then you have the rest. You have Alabama, you have Auburn, UAB, South Alabama, Troy, all having fantastic seasons. But it is a season for North Alabama basketball, no doubt about it. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can join us this morning if you would like. And hopefully Drew DeArmond will join us here in a little bit. We hope. That's the plan. We're going to do this for 2 hours, and we're going to see if he can join us at some point. There was high school basketball yesterday as well. Northwest Regionals, they are done. Everything is in the books. The Hazel Green, and I tell you, I saw this score. I saw this score yesterday, and I know a lot of other people saw this score as well. And their first reaction was the shot clock that was used this year in several games. As long as it was not an area contest, you could use the shot clock. But once you started area play, or if you had an area game, you could not use the shot clock. This game here, and it was, I talked to a few people yesterday over at Toyota Field. This game here screams, please, please, please use the shot clock in every high school basketball game. In 6A girls, Northwest Regional Final, Hazel Green got a win over Hartselle yesterday by a score of 25-15. Yeah, there was a lot of holding the basketball yesterday in that contest. Sometimes you got to grind it out. But 25-15 was the final score. Other games from the Northeast Regional yesterday. Sylvania girls in 3A, they are through. They are through 52-36. Drew sent you a message. 52-36, Sylvania over Piedmont. Glencoe in 3A boys knocks off Piedmont 78-63. 2A girls, Pisgah, they are headed to Birmingham. They got a 72-45 win over North Sand Mountain. And then in 2A boys section, tops Pisgah 89-76. Skyline boys taking on Oakwood Academy. Yes, Oakwood Academy from right here in Huntsville. Skyline, we all know about them. Our good friend Brian Bellamy's hometown. Oakwood Academy 60-48 over Skyline. So Oakwood Academy back into the Final Four. And then in the 1A girls final, it was Eider and Spring Garden. Defending state champions in this one. Eider in 2A, Spring Garden in 1A. Spring Garden gets the win over Eider 62-51. The environment and the atmosphere inside the Pete last night for that ball game, had people send me pictures and videos of that one. Oh my goodness, it was fantastic. And it was great to see for girls basketball. All right, 7:13. We got our high school basketball out of the way. Got a little UNA basketball and the softball. When we get back, let's get a break in. When we get back, both Alabama and Auburn in action tonight. We'll check in with Nate Oates. We'll check in with Bruce Pearl. And hopefully we'll check in with one Drew DeArmond. All that and more coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They're showing a wreck in the 500 block of Trash Panda Way as an injury type, but they have not assigned Himsey to it as of yet. Got 565 westbound right about Toyota Field reported with injury. 565 and I-65 southbound on the ramp. That one had a vehicle that hit the barrier. We've got 72 in Meridian now being reported as a no injury. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships, March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and this is What's Happening. Be sure and download our app. Just search 977 ESPN in your Google Marketplace or your Apple Store, depending on your device, so you can take us wherever you might go. And you can also check out our latest zone deals. Head over to our website, 977ESPN.com. The top left banner reads, "Savings never tasted so good." Click on that, then enter in the Big Zone Deals store for half-off zone deals of Lawler's Barbecue, Sea Salt, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bubby's Diner, Corlejos Mexican Grill, Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, Divergence, Full Moon Barbecue, Bigfoot Little Donuts, Hickory Store Barbecue, Good Company Cafe, Apple Lane Farms, the Decatur location, and rounds of golf at Cherokee Ridge Golf Course and Gunter's Landing. And that's what's happening.
Sometimes the coolest little gems are found a little off the beaten path, and that's exactly where you will find Hickory Store Barbecue. They are on Blake Bottom Road, just east of Jeff Road, and it's definitely worth the trip. The smokers are going on site daily, and they have the best smoked wings around. You'll love the fireplace and the covered patio, and best of all, Hickory Store Barbecue is locally owned and operated by the McAlpins. They even have rotating craft beer taps and live music weekly. Hickory Store Barbecue. Go see what you're missing. Blake Bottom Road in Monrovia. You'll thank me later.
Hello, listeners. My name is Jonathan Dunwoody, and I own Minuteman Press. We are a full-service print shop that is locally owned and operated. I have personally been handling direct mail for over 17 years and have a great relationship with the USPS. We are the only print shop in the area that is listed as a print provider on their website and the only printing franchise that can use their logo as our partner on marketing materials. We can help from conception to design, print, and delivery to the post office. And with our easy, secure online payment option, you don't even need to leave your office. Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
Want to save some money?
I can take money and I can make it into more money.
Just check out our zone deals online at 977ESPN.com. We are 977 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, and eventually Drew DeArmond will join us. Eventually he'll join us. Hopefully he'll join us. If not, you know what we're going to do? I want you to call Tokyo and see if he can come in. So we'll see. Or we may just call the other one. You can call Joe and say, can you come in early because we can't find Drew. We know where Drew's at. We just can't find him.
I'll give it a segment.
Yeah. Anyway, coming up tonight, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We'll have college basketball for you. Alabama back in action on the road, taking on Missouri. And this is a dangerous ball game. Dennis Gates and company at home play extremely well. Extremely well. Defensively, though, talent-wise, Alabama checks all the boxes over Missouri. But Missouri's a scrappy bunch. Yesterday, Nate Oates was asked about starting combinations. Maybe playing LeBaron Philon, maybe starting LeBaron Philon, maybe changing it up. How do you manage playing different guys, and how do you manage the guard position? Getting the right unit on the floor, the right combination on the floor at the right time. Guys that can shoot, guys that can play defense, guys that can hustle, everybody. How do you find that right combination? Here's Nate Oates' response yesterday.
Look, we
got to connect it to the Bluetooth here. Here we go. There we go. Now we'll do it, Chief.
We've looked at a few different analytic things that way since the Auburn game, because shooters, creators, combination, we probably need at least two of the three. Can you play LeBaron with Mark more to create, to get Mark easier shots? Can you play with Holloway and Sears together? They can both create and shoot to get each of them more shots. Can you play Barron with, either one of those so Barron can create to get them shots? When you do play Barron with Mark, because Barron doesn't shoot it as well as Biz, CY, and Mark, can you put Barron in there with two of CY, Mark, and Holloway? What does it do to us defensively if you put Barron, Mark, and Holloway in together because they're all smaller? We did look at all those two-man lineups, three-man lineups we looked at a lot of that. So the fact you're asking that, nicely done. You're asking the right questions, as were we. We are going to experiment a little bit with some of that stuff, just making sure there's enough guys that can create offense, enough shooters out there to keep the floor open with the appropriate lineups in. So that we did take a good hard look at that over the last couple of days.
All right, that was Nate Oates talking about the different combinations, and Drew DeArmond, good to have you finally with us. But that was Nate Oates talking about how do you balance the lineup? How do you put the right guys on the floor at the right time? How do you balance Mark Sears, LeBaron Philon, Aiden Holloway? How do you find that right combination on the floor?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, no doubt about it. There's no question that Alabama's going to may have to shake up the starting lineup against Missouri. Going to be interesting to find out what happens with that tonight. It's going to be a very interesting show because we've had we've scheduled some guests that I'm just now becoming aware of. I had scheduled a completely different show, so this is going to be extremely interesting. What's happening today? We haven't scheduled anything. We didn't schedule anything on this end. Oh, okay. Well, I'm reading down there below that it's Tony Pujol and
No. They are not scheduled for today.
Gotcha. Just making sure about that. We've got because we've got a couple of guests scheduled. I know Joel Lamp was supposed to be with us at 7:30, and I know we were talking about that yesterday. But again, technology steps in the way, and finally on the phone here, computer never would pick up the StreamYard link, so we're just going to roll with it. And luckily, the the phone seems to be working well. Decided to go with that route. So, but again, NATO, it's what Alabama does. I would go with LeBaron Philon back in the starting lineup now that he seems to have gotten his second wind. I think, it's going to help Mark Sears off the ball a little bit. It'll be interesting to see if they do that or if they stick with Jaron Stevenson. But again, I think overall it's going to be a tough battle tonight. But even if LeBaron doesn't start, it's about kind of who gets the minutes and who finishes. And it may be a situation where the flow of the game, how you kind of, see where the flow of the game goes. But I think LeBaron played really well against Auburn. I thought he and Mo Diabate probably played the two best of the guys on the floor because we didn't see the best out of Mark Sears. He was 4 for 17. Grant Nelson had 10, but he wasn't one of his better games. But this team has responded all year long when they've lost a game, and so we'll see what happens. But certainly looking forward to seeing the Tide tonight at 8:00. You'll hear that on 97.7 The Zone, and certainly we're down here in Jacksonville getting ready for Huntsville and Hoover. We're going to talk to Kyle Parmley at 8:00. Kyle Parmley from the Gannett News Service, who covers the over the mountain teams in Birmingham. Very, very knowledgeable sports writer. We're going to talk some Hoover Bucks at 8:00, and then we're going to also talk to Huntsville High Panther basketball at 8:30. We either have Christian Swears or Caleb Brown. We'll see which one of the two coaches is going to join us, but that's going to be in the second hour of the show.
All right. So we talked about, and here Auburn is at home tonight, taking on Arkansas. Here is Bruce Pearl. And how do you take a team that went on the road at Alabama, won a big game? How do you bring them back down from that high of winning that game and manage them? Well, here's Bruce Pearl.
I mean, one of the things we just really honest with them. And after the win at Alabama, I wanted the guys to go back to campus. We knew they were going to be the Toomer's corners will have been rolled. We'd get back in time in order for those guys to kind of go out a little bit, enjoy the victory. I thought most of the guys were on campus on Sunday at the baseball game, at the women's basketball game, and just letting the fans kind of love on them, and they were loving on them. But in the Alabama press conference, Chani Broome talked about Arkansas. We talked about Arkansas Saturday night, right after the game. And so they understand, they understand, look, they understand who Arkansas personnel is. They understand a bunch of those guys at Arkansas were big names in the portal that could have gone anywhere. And they went to play for Cal at Arkansas. They truly understand that. And understand how talented they are, and they play great defense, and they play really hard, and offensively, the stuff they run really matches their personnel.
So that's Bruce Pearl there talking about getting his team back down after that win at Alabama and refocusing on a home game with Arkansas.
Yeah, and that's going to be the biggest key. But this Auburn team showed remarkable resilience and focus all year. I don't like this matchup for Arkansas. I think it's going to be a beatdown. I really think that Arkansas is on kind of life support as far as making the NCAA tournament. Now, I mean, they did go to Kentucky and win, and that was a huge win for them at the time. And then they've also won at Texas, but this is a different situation. Auburn is the best team in the country. Auburn, I think, has the right mindset. I completely agree with Bruce Pearl. I was there in the press room, and I didn't sense any like entitlement or satisfaction from Chani Broome or Denver Jones. I think they understand that there's still 6 games left. They're trying to finish and win the SEC regular season title, and they gave credit to Alabama. They said Alabama was a good team, but we just feel like we played well and took care of business. And Chani was the first one to bring up Arkansas. So I think they're going to be focused, and they've got a nice little 3-game homestand here coming up with Arkansas, Georgia, and then Ole Miss. And they can really put themselves in strong position to win the SEC regular season going in to the last week and a half, the last 3 games. And, I think that they're setting themselves up to go potentially 17-1 or 16-2 at worst in this league. I know they got to go to Texas A&M. That certainly won't be easy. They got to go to Rupp Arena and Kentucky is always tough and rough. But look, if they can win in Coleman Coliseum in the most electric environment we've seen, and if they can go to Cameron Indoor Stadium and take Duke to the end, there's no question in my mind that they can go to Kentucky and win. And we don't know how this Kentucky team is going to look at that by the time we get there. They might have Lamont Butler back. We'll see. They might have, their entire roster healthier, because I think that's been Kentucky's biggest issue. But Kentucky's not a great defensive team, and they'd have to really shoot it well to have a chance against Auburn, even in Rupp. But it's going to be really interesting to see going forward what this Auburn team does, because we've kind of talked about it this week on the show, Scott. They're really close, in my opinion,
right,
to locking up the number one overall seed in the tournament and the SEC. So they know what they have to play for. And, I kind of agree with what some people have said, that since they lost to Yale last year after winning the SEC tournament and looking like they were a red-hot team, and they were some people's pick to go to the Final Four. I think even someone picked them to win the national championship. It was so disappointing and gut-wrenching to them, but I think they've kind of been on a mission ever since. And I just think they're going to come out tonight and systematically take Arkansas apart. Now, if Arkansas has one of those games where Avicic shoots it really well, maybe Tiro gets hot, maybe they can stay in the game. But I just really think from Auburn's perspective, as well as they play in Neville Arena, there's no question that this 3-game homestand comes at a really good time, and I think Auburn's going to take full advantage of that. Alabama needs to beat Missouri to stay within striking distance of Auburn. From an Alabama perspective, what you want to do is you want to get to that last regular season game in Neville Arena, where at least there's some maybe a chance to tie for the league championship, and then tiebreakers would come into play. But really for Alabama, like I've said, they've got a 6-game stretch where they need to go 4-2 and, at worst, and stay on the one line. So we'll see. But certainly I like where this Auburn team is. I like their leadership. I like the way they're playing and their mentality. And, being at Neville Arena, I know they lost to Florida, but Florida, you look at Auburn's resume, they've lost to 2 teams in the top 4 to 5 in the country. And right now, I guess Florida's 2, Duke's 3. So they've lost to, 2 top 3 teams. And both of them were competitive, very competitive games. But this matchup for Auburn tonight, I like the Tigers to cover. I haven't checked the spread or anything of that nature, but if you had to ask me, I think it's going to be about an 85-70 type game, and Auburn's going to get an easy win.
Auburn's 15.5 points favorites.
Well, okay, so I'm right underneath it, but maybe I think that's when the subs will be in.
Joe Lunardi put his bracketology out yesterday.
Right.
Still has Arkansas in that last 4 in category. So
wow.
Joe Lunardi still likes Arkansas at this point. Now he has Georgia in the first 4 out category, along with North Carolina, SMU, and VCU.
Wow,
so,
who did North Carolina pay off to get on that list?
I don't know. He's got Arkansas and Oklahoma in as the last 4 in. So we'll see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 7:32. When we come back, Joe Lamp, he was on 565, but
nice
because of the snow and everything and the traffic.
How much snow did y'all get, man? By the way, I should have asked that.
We're still getting some. What do you say?
It's still coming down, huh?
Maybe an inch on the ground, but it was when I got in, it was still heavy snow coming down. So we'll see.
Roads weren't too bad, but
Yeah.
there was snow on the trees. So
Yep, and there's some white stuff everywhere. So anyway, hopefully Joel Lamp will be in here next. We're giving him a little extra time, so we'll see if he's in.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky this afternoon. Temperatures are going to climb into the mid and upper 30s, which is really good news because it's going to melt away whatever fell late last night. Now, it is going to be incredibly cold as we head into the overnight. We are going to have to watch for a couple of slick spots, but those slick spots, for the most part, we're dropping into the mid and upper teens as we head into the overnight early into your Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, definitely going to be on the colder end of the spectrum, only climbing into the upper 20s and lower 30s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got several accidents in the town Madison area along 565. We've had them reported on the eastbound side and the westbound side. Right now, it looks like eastbound traffic is stopped completely through that area. I'm not sure what's going on there. You need to move to the right, though. Once they get it started again, that's your best chance of moving through that area. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Neck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Online at 977ESPN.com.
Stream them online.
Call in.
It's an important job, and it's an vital organization.
Tweet in and join in. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, DeArmond. Very quick segment here. Our 7:30 guest, because of the traffic on the interstate, a little slow getting in here. So we're going to try to buy him some more time. He is coming with the Conference USA trophy, though. It's on its way.
There was one last year by the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers.
Yeah, and they'll be back again here this year, coming up in March. Man, I mean, we are less than a month away from all of that getting started down at the VBC. Joel Lamp going to join us. He had a very busy day yesterday. He was over at Toyota Field for the Alabama softball game, the UAH softball game, which, Drew, by the way, phenomenal. It is a beauty. I mean, the way that they did that, the diamond, the look, the everything, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It looked like a good crowd last night, too. I know it was cold, but I was watching from the bus and then from our hotel the highlights of the Alabama-Jacksonville State game, and Jack State got off to a good start, got up 2-0, and was controlling the game. And then Alabama used the long ball. Your lady from Northern Iowa, Alexis Papillo, she hit a 3-run bomb to give Alabama a 3-2 lead. Ty Evelyn, she hit a 2-run homer, and then they ended up Alabama went on like a 7-run. A 7-0 run there to get up 7-2. Jack State came back, made it 7-4, and had some runners on, but Alabama was able to escape and win 7-4. But it looked like a good atmosphere over there in the cold at Toyota. It looked like a beautiful setting for softball.
Oh, it was fantastic, and it was beautiful. And they'll play again on Friday and Saturday over there. All right, this was a quick segment. We're going to get a break in. When we come back, Joel Lamp should be with us here in studio.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got several accidents in the town Madison area along 565. We've had them reported on the eastbound side and the westbound side. Right now, it looks like eastbound traffic is stopped completely through that area. I'm not sure what's going on there. You need to move to the right, though. Once they get it started again, that's your best chance of moving through that area. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Neck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Listen to UAH Charger basketball all season long.
So when we came out of the timeout, Coach Hedge had initially called a man play, and they ended up faking a zone. So the whole bench was yelling zone, zone, zone. So we tried to switch the play last second. We ended up getting confused. So Tommy swung it to me, and I initially was like, all right, I'm going to try and get to the rim right here. We're only down 2. We don't need a 3. And he flipped his hips real hard, and I tossed it back. And as soon as I let it go, I knew it was in.
Campbell to plug it in. 81-79 Union. Inbounds it goes. Dribbling it out from Tommy Murr. Swings it over to Campbell. Campbell on the wing for the lead. Oh, my God! Blake Campbell! It's a 3! Into the front court for the win! No good! No good! No good! Blake Campbell with some onions from Jackson, Tennessee!
97.7 ESPN The Zone. This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
The heat is on. Use a little heat. On the street. Well, Glenn Fry right there. We could use a little heat in the Tennessee Valley to melt some of this white stuff. And the white stuff has caused some traffic delays out there. Be careful when you're driving. One of those traffic delays was our 7:30 guest because of all the traffic and everything. He's now got to join us by the phone, Drew DeArmond, but Joel Lamp kind enough to join us because we were going to talk Conference USA. We are going to talk Conference USA basketball and some softball because Joel had a huge hand in helping get that softball played out there at Toyota Field. But Drew, he's going to have to join us by phone tonight or this morning.
Well, and I'm joining via Zoom via my phone because my computer's wonky. So it's just been an unforgettable show so far.
Joel Lamp, kind enough to join us. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. Sorry, I left the house at 6:30 and still haven't made it.
Wow.
So.
Hey, Joel, Drew DeArmond here. I'm in a hotel in Jacksonville, Alabama. So, hey, man, let me correct myself. Gadsden. We had to leave a day early. I'm guessing I'm glad we did with all the delays over there. But and I'm doing this show via my phone on a StreamYard. So this is going to be one of those unforgettable ones. We're just doing the best we can today, and we appreciate you for joining us. And by the way, I was watching from afar, but it looked like you had a good night of softball last night.
Last night was awesome. When we got the first pitch of the UAH game, it was a relief that we finally got it underway, and then to have Alabama and Jackson State play last night in the nightcap. A really good crowd, all things considered, as cold as it was. But they put on a heck of a show. Two absolute bombs last night got Alabama the win. So a really fun atmosphere. And I think it's one of the things that when we hatched this plan a couple of years ago, I think it turned out better than we ever hoped. So looking forward to some warmer weather on Friday and getting through then.
Yeah, that was the thing. I mean, even despite the games being moved a day ahead, moved a day up, and then, I mean, on short notice, I thought the crowds yesterday were phenomenal. Les Studeman from UAH, I mean, the whole thing took her breath away just simply because you've played football there. It's a minor league ballpark, and to showcase women's softball in that way says a lot about the sport, and it says a lot about the community.
It does. When we're looking at these events, sometimes we've got like a list of wild hair ideas, and when we started talking about this one, we're like, this isn't a wild idea. The sport is blowing up. How can we get in and create a really unique experience that can elevate the sport, but then also put Huntsville and Madison on a different level from a conversation and tell our story in a different way as a community. And last night we really shined on a national stage. So it was fun to have one top 25 team play yesterday, and now we're going to have two more this weekend.
Well, obviously the softball taking center stage there, but in less than a month, what'll take center stage inside the Von Braun Center is the Conference USA basketball tournament. Second year for Huntsville to roll out the red carpet for Conference USA. And we talked about how good the basketball is in North Alabama. And right now, Jack State sitting atop the Conference USA basketball standings, Joel. This is going to be a fun tournament.
This is going to be one of the best tournaments in the country. All 10 teams that are coming in feel like they've got a chance to win. Jacksonville State is in a dogfight at the top of the league with Middle Tennessee. Liberty's right there. You've got UTEP and New Mexico State, two traditional powers who have at times showed that they've got the firepower to win the conference. So, and then you got the defending champ Western Kentucky, who last year they were coming in, they were not feeling it, and then all of a sudden they found a little magic here in the Rocket City and put together three great games to take home the title. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're a basketball fan, this is the closest thing to March Madness we can get in Huntsville. We're going to crown two conference champions. Middle Tennessee's women's team last year made it to the second round of the tournament. So we've got some really good basketball, and we're going to send two teams to the tournament that both are going to have a chance to be Cinderella in the first round.
No question. And if I remember correctly, Joel, I think Western Kentucky was the 3 seed, and they and I know you guys did a great job of helping a head coach go to the Power 4. As I know their head coach got hired away and went to Oklahoma State. So, but I thought it was a great tournament. I was there for 2 days. The atmosphere was really good. It was well run, and as we know, Conference USA is a very dangerous league. We saw what Middle Tennessee's ladies did in the tournament, and I know they brought a lot of folks from Murfreesboro, a lot of campuses within a short drive of the Rocket City. So it should be another great event coming up soon to crown a conference champion on both the men's and the women's side and see them do damage potentially in March Madness.
That was the thing last year. We came into the tournament with really 3 to 4 teams that had a chance between Western Kentucky, Middle Tennessee. They were playing really well at the end of the year, and then you had Sam Houston State and Louisiana Tech. They were the 1 and 2 seeds, and all of a sudden here comes Western Kentucky and UTEP, and they've just played phenomenal. And then Western Kentucky just kept it rolling and goes and wins the tournament. And then they've got the lead at halftime on Marquette in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So the teams that are coming here, we've got 5 teams right now that are ranked in the top 120 in the country right now, which is amazing to think about from a league standpoint, that they've got that kind of depth between Liberty's the highest ranked team, and they're in 4th place in the league. So you've got a really good balance and some phenomenal basketball. Jacksonville State has been playing extremely well. They've got a young man, Jerron Pierre, leading scorer in the conference. He's averaging like 26 a game, and everybody knows he's the guy, and they still can't stop him. So that says a lot about him and what this Jacksonville State team can do. And when you throw them and then what Middle Tennessee's done, Middle Tennessee was up at the half on Tennessee in Knoxville. So it's some really good basketball that's going to be here March 11th through 15th at the BBC.
Well, just let everybody know real fast, and we'll keep talking basketball, but let everyone know real fast of tickets, price, where they can go, because as you mentioned, March 11th, we are less than a month away from having Conference USA basketball.
Yes, sir. Less than a month away. Don't remind me. It's exciting to have it. All the tickets, you can go to the VBC box office and avoid some of the Ticketmaster fees, but you can also go to Ticketmaster.com. You can get your tournament books. Championship game tickets are on sale. So $40 for the championship doubleheader. You get both games, the men's and women's game. Women's game is at 3:30. Guys are at 7. It's going to be a phenomenal day of basketball at the BBC. You can get your tickets there now, and then we'll have single session tickets going on sale the Saturday before the tournament starts on March 8th.
So that is Conference USA basketball coming to the Von Braun Center. Joel Lamp with us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, the sports development manager for the Huntsville-Madison County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Not only are they putting on that basketball tournament, but they're helping with the Rock City Showcase over at Toyota Field, all kinds of stuff. But the basketball tournament will take place. So what did you guys learn from last year that this year you're going to say, hey, look, this is going to be a little bit better than what we did last year?
First, there's no ice in the building that night, that week. So first and foremost, it will be much more climate friendly in the building. So we're excited about that. I think the biggest thing that we learned was getting everybody in. The fan bases will come, especially later in the week. Investing in that quarterfinal game, and especially with the depth of the league, there's a lot of fans that are like, I'm going to wait till we get to the semifinals. I don't want to come on Tuesday or Wednesday and realize, hey, we might get upset. And so what we saw last year was every day we saw a little bit more fans. And then when it got to Saturday, we had a really good crowd. And so we want to see that again. We want to expand that Saturday crowd. We want to get a lot of people in for the championship game. And with Huntsville's basketball mentality. And you think about basketball taking over the state this year. Jacksonville State, first place in CUSA. UNA, first place in the A-Sun. Auburn, first place in the SEC. Troy, first place in the Sun Belt. UAB, second place in the American. You've got a lot of really good basketball across the state. UAH, first place in the Gulf South, a top 5 team in the country. We've got a lot of really good basketball, and this is an opportunity for us to celebrate and build our basketball resume. So that way, if the NCAA tournament expands someday, we might be can get in that discussion for the first 4.
Wow, that would be so awesome.
That would be a lot of fun. And the big thing for us is just getting the community come out and support what we've got right now. This championship Saturday is going to be a really special day. You're going to get to see 2 teams that nobody's going to want to play that first Thursday or Friday in the NCAA tournament. That they are matchup problems. They've got guys who can score. They've got guys who can shoot. And as we saw last year with Yale upsetting Auburn, that first round game is the hardest game in the tournament because everybody that team has a chance to prepare really well for you. And these teams in the CUSA, they are very talented and will create matchup problems for whoever is unlucky to draw in the first round.
All right, Joel Lamp, kind enough to join. Joel, let everybody again know where they can get their tickets and how they can get their tickets.
You can go to cusa-huntsville.org to get onto our tournament website, BBC box office, or Ticketmaster.com. You can go to any of those 3 places and get your tickets for the tournament.
All right. Thanks, Joel, for joining us, and safe travels. I mean, literally left at 6:30. You had good intentions to get here. Just couldn't get you.
Hey, it was a heck of a run.
All right, thanks, Joe.
I needed Smokey and the Bandit to help me get through today.
Drew, thanks, Joel, for joining us. Drew, thanks, Joel. Drew, he needed a little Smokey and the Bandit to get here.
Yeah, I know, no doubt. But we appreciate Joel for joining us. And again, it's not a great weather situation in the Rocket City, and that's why we had to leave early last night at the last minute. Kind of a situation where Huntsville basketball had to, because of the Huntsville City schools being closed today, we had to leave, last night. And so that's why we're here in Gadsden, Alabama right now. Going to practice at 10 a.m. And then could probably go check out some of the action. Madison Academy, I believe, is playing today at the Pete. So we're going to check some of that out. But again, it's just one of those situations where, the weather can, it's something you can't control, but we just want Joel Lamp to be safe. And man, what a way to have, been able to get the softball rescheduled. It was really good.
We're going to have to get Drew's signal figured out there because we're kind of losing him there. Well, we'll see if we can reconnect with Drew here in just a minute because kind of unfortunately kind of fading there. But we are close to the end of hour number one here on Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And hopefully, you know what, when you're dealing with Wi-Fi, you're dealing with hotel signals, sometimes it's not always the smoothest, but we're making this work the best that we can. Drew's going to join us again, hopefully back here in just a minute. But we talked Conference USA basketball. Last night, there was 3 games in the SEC. Second-ranked Florida was at home against Oklahoma. Now, remember, we talked about it a little bit ago that Joe Lunardi going into last night, Joe Lunardi had Oklahoma as a last 4-in team. They were on the road taking on second-ranked Florida. And I don't know. There is no way Oklahoma now can be a last 4-in team. That bubble had to have burst last night. They are just 3-10 in SEC play. They get bounced 85-63 last night on the road at Florida. I get it. It's second-ranked Florida. But when you're just 16-10 and 3-10 in the league, 3-10 in the SEC play is not going to get you in the NCAA tournament. Now, we also talked about how big it was for Mississippi State to get a win at home last night against Texas A&M. It was almost kind of like a must-win game for the Bulldogs, and they were trailing by 1 at the half, 31-30 to 7th-ranked Texas A&M, but they outscore the Aggies 40-23 in the second half. They go on to get a 70-54 win over Texas A&M last night. Mississippi State now 7-6 in SEC play. Texas A&M 9-4. And then in the nightcap, South Carolina just cannot catch a break. 0-13 now in SEC play. They go on the road, take on LSU, and LSU gets an 81-67 win over the Gamecocks. So if you're looking at the SEC standings going into tonight, we talked a lot about it, how you want to stay off of that 8 mark, and you don't want to be in that situation. This is how your men's basketball standings look going into tonight. Your bottom 8 right now: South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma. Those are 3. Georgia, Arkansas, and Texas. That's 6. Right now, Vanderbilt and Kentucky. As of right now, those are the 8. Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Texas, Arkansas, Georgia, Oklahoma, LSU, and South Carolina. Now, Kentucky will play tonight. They will take on Vanderbilt. So that is a huge game in the SEC standings, Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Auburn at 11-1, Alabama 10-2, followed by Florida at 10-3, then Texas A&M. So right now, Auburn, Alabama safely inside that bye as in Florida. So you want those double byes. Anyway, A little bit of time before the SEC tournament starts. We'll continue to break it all down some more. Hopefully coming up here in just a few minutes, Kyle Parmley going to join the show as we talk a little Hoover basketball. 97.7 ESPN, the Zone Talking Ball rolls on next.
I'm allowing everything. The hell.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
For a limited time, GBank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a GBank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/GBank.
The line has flipped from Alabama, a 1.5 favorite, to a 1.5 underdog of the Missouri Tigers today. The fourth-ranked Crimson Tide, 7-3 against ranked opponents. Number 15, Missouri, 16-1 at the Mizzou Arena, where the total today is 169.5. Auburn Tigers laying 16.5 at home against Arkansas, led by John Calipari, who is 2-6 against ranked opponents in his first season with the Razorbacks. The total 153.5. South Alabama, an 8.5-point road dog at Arkansas State at First National Bank Arena today, 141.5 the total. For more, go to vsin.com. Mike Senate.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. Their locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It's hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome into the program. Sportsman Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, they're taking care of us in hour number 2. They're taking care of the UAH Chargers and the Rocket City Trash Pandas as well, the official training providers for both the Chargers and the Trash Pandas. 256-881-5151. You can experience the Sports Med difference. We got hour 2 underway. Talk a little high school basketball. We talked some at the top of the show, running down some of the scores from yesterday at the Northeast and Northwest regionals. But coming up tomorrow, there is plenty of action, and you'll be able to hear some of it right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Coming up on Thursday morning at 10:45, Hoover and Huntsville will play in the 7A boys final, all right, to go to the Final Four, and we'll have that game for you on 97.7 ESPN The Zone at 10:45 tomorrow morning. And where did he go? Did he disappear on us?
Yeah, I looked down and he was gone from the stream. So he'll be getting back in probably.
Well, let's see if we can get him back in here before we bring in Kyle.
You think that's going to happen in the next minute?
Don't know what to do, hell. This show's just all messed up. We're trying to hold it together with duct tape and a Band-Aid. but the duct tape and the Band-Aid just not working.
Yeah, I can just see somebody just trying to breathe over the water, and that's exactly
I
what
tell
we're
you
doing.
what, this is unconventional because we just came back from one, but let's get a break in.
Okay.
And let's see if we can get Drew DeArmond back on the phone one more time. All right, we're going to get this in. I know I hate it, folks, but we're playing with technology.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got several accidents in the town Madison area along 565. We've had them reported on the eastbound side and the westbound side. Right now, it looks like eastbound traffic is stopped completely through that area. I'm not sure what's going on there. You need to move to the right, though. Once they get it started again, that's your best chance of moving through that area. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That you paint your body, your car, and your dog your school colors? Maybe. But it means more than that. It means your alumni network includes the state, the country, and beyond. It means your school ring doubles as your resume. And yeah, you better believe it means more titles, like doctor, CEO, and your honor. Because this is the SEC, and here just means more. What does it mean to be part of the Southeastern Conference? That yours is the only conference with its own chant? Well, yes, but it means more than that. It means a study abroad program that might include reforestation in a mangrove swamp in Australia. It means finding your calling, your future spouse, your startup's co-founders, and of course, grilling tongs that play your fight song. This is the SEC, and here, it just means more.
We are your home for March Madness.
In the corner, James, right corner three. Oh, it's a Tennessee blitz. The Volunteers dominating the Creighton Blue Jays in the second half.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation.
Oh, you got to love your occupation. Sometimes the occupation will bite you, but that's okay. Technology sometimes is a fickle mistress. Welcome back in. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Let's try this all over again. Coming up tomorrow morning at 10:45 a.m., Hoover and Huntsville 7A Boys Regional Final from the Northeast Regional at Jack State. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. We'll have that game for you tomorrow morning at 10:45, and should be a fun one. This game here probably is one of the most talked about games in all of, I know the 2A championship game there at Jack State yesterday was talked about, and that was Ider and Spring Garden, girls 2A and 1A defending state champions. But outside of that one, this game probably is getting a lot of the headlines because, I mean, it's probably clearly two of the best teams, if not the best two teams in Class 7A.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, you have one ranked in the top 4 in the country in Hoover, who's the 2-time defending 7A state champion, and who's right now 32-0 and looking like a machine right now, trying to win 3 straight, which is extremely hard to do. They have a very special senior class. They're very experienced, but Huntsville has had a big time run in their own right. The last 2 years, the Crimson Panthers now have won 64 games and only lost 4. They're 32-1 right now, ranked in the top 25 in the country. I think they moved up to 21 in Max Prep. So this is one of the best matchups, not just in Alabama, but in high school basketball. And I think it's been highly anticipated since they met last December. Huntsville winning that game by 18 on Billy Watkins Avenue over at Huntsville High. A lot of people thought they would meet in a rematch, but Enterprise had other ideas, eliminated the Crimson Panthers, and Hoover went on to win their second straight 7A title, and they have just seemed like they're on a mission this year. But these two teams have been on a collision course. The AHSAA, and I don't think it was a smart move, but there was some, Spain Park moved down to 6A, so they moved some teams around. And instead of being in opposite brackets once again like they were a year ago, maybe on a collision course to play in a 7A state championship game, they got moved to the same regional. But we've seen that in other classes, just like you just previously mentioned, Scott. I mean, Ider was the 2A defending champion. They moved down to 1A, and they had to play the 2-time defending champion Spring Garden. Spring Garden winning that game, I believe, 62-51 yesterday. Ace Austin with 28 points on, a very questionable ankle, but kudos to her and Ricky Austin and that special group of seniors for marching on and beating a really, really good Ider team. And now Huntsville and Hoover are going to hook up tomorrow at 10:45 a.m. And it's the old Ric Flair, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And certainly Huntsville, that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to beat what is, a team that's on one of the best runs in state history, trying to win 3 in a row and only become the 12th team ever to finish unbeaten in a season.
All right, it's time now for us to bring in our first guest, or our second guest of the morning. This is our guest number 2.
Yeah, because we had Joel Lamp join us from the road because of the wintry conditions in the Rocket City, and safe travels for Joel, who's done such a remarkable job with the Huntsville Sports Commission and putting on the Rocket City Showcase. Our next guest, I'm sure, wishes he was there last night, and he's a huge part of the softball community. I know he's very excited about what Huntsville is doing with this Rocket City Showcase, but he also does a great job for Starnes Publishing of covering the Birmingham Over the Mountain schools and Hoover. He does a great job doing that, and he's been kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. I saw him as he was covering Vestavia Hills. Huntsville High eliminated the Vestavia boys, a scrappy Vestavia bunch that gave Huntsville all they could handle for a half before the Crimson Panthers finally took control. But, of course, we're talking about Kyle Parmley, a.k.a. the softball guy, but he's also an outstanding prep sports writer, and he's been kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline this morning. Kyle, good morning. You're with Drew and Scott.
Hey, good to be with you guys. It is really cool to see what that Rocket City Showcase has got going on. Hopefully I can get up there one day. But we got a big matchup on tap for tomorrow morning at Jackson State. I'm looking forward to it.
Talk to us about this Hoover team. Drew follows it really closely. A lot of us around here, we know about Hoover. We've seen their scores. We've seen what they've done this year. But what has made them so impressive this year?
They're just such a complete team. They, like y'all mentioned, back-to-back state champions. They knew coming in they were the favorite to go for 3 in a row, and they've not let down from that at any point this year. They're 32-0. I think they've played one single-digit game all year, and it was an overtime win in a tournament that they played in Alaska in late January. They got challenged by a team out of California. It took them to overtime, but Hoover still prevailed. But the way that this team has been able to do things is, a lot of the attention goes to 6'10" big man DeWayne Brown, who's a Tennessee commit. And a lot of teams have just decided we're not going to let this guy beat us if at all possible. And so his scoring numbers over the last month have been a little down. And all Hoover's done is continue to beat people by 30 and 40 every single night because you've got guards like UAB signee Salim London. You've got Jarrett Fairley, who does some tremendous work as the third guy. And then you have a guy like Seneca Robinson, who doesn't score a lot, but he's such a good player. He fills up the stat sheet and everything else. Assists, steals. He's just a great defender and a great ball handler. So this Hoover team they do it all. They can beat you in any way. You decide to shut one portion down, they take the game in another way. A little backstory that I think is really cool. These guys, especially DeWayne Brown, Salim London, they were some of the best players on this Hoover team when they were freshmen. And head coach Scott Ware said back then, he's like, these guys are too talented to keep off the floor. And they came along as that year went on, but they got put out in the area tournament. And, it's kind of that off season where there was a meeting of the minds, and it's like, guys, this team is way too talented to fall short. And I think they've really come together in a lot of aspects, not only on the court, but off the court. You can tell they love being around each other, love playing together. And this Hoover-Huntsville matchup is something that, with the brackets drawn out ahead of time, you knew it was coming, and here we are.
Yeah, Kyle, there's no doubt about it. And I was watching their game with Albertville in the Sweet 16, and Scott Ware admitted they were, because, as everybody knows, 7A took about 10 days off. And so they had a big break between area play because there's no sub-regional to playing in the Sweet 16. And they got off to a little bit of a slow start, and Dwayne only had 14. You talked about him kind of, his numbers not being eye-popping. But Salim London, he always seems to save his best for the postseason. He was tremendous, especially in that first half. I believe he was the one that was kind of allowed Hoover to separate. And by halftime, they had taken control of the game in the second quarter. And then we know what happened in the third quarter. Dwayne got it cooking a little bit. Salim, continued to play well. And then Fairley, he's kind of the guy that doesn't get, as much pub as those two, but he certainly hurt Huntsville last year and kept them in the game in the first half over at Huntsville High. And I really like his game. I think he's underrated. I think he's definitely a Division I talent, but Salim London always seems to save his best for the biggest stage.
Yeah, and one thing that Scott Ware's done such a good job with his team is the last 2 years especially, after they win their first one, you go and sit down and talk to him before the season, and he's like, there's no talk of repeat or run it back or anything like that. Like they wipe the slate clean and say, this is the group of guys we got, and we're going to go after it again. And it worked last year, and man, it seemed to have worked again. I think we can both agree, like, you see a lot of teams with these expectations, and they just kind of survive throughout the year, maybe playing with the weight of that. Maybe they're not playing as well together. But this Hoover team doesn't feel like they feel the pressure of, hey, we won 2 in a row, we haven't lost a game this year. Like, there's no sense of that. They just come out and take care of business, and it's really worked out well for them. I've seen no sense of a letdown at any point this season. There really hasn't even been any dry stretches where they've struggled. So there's just a few more games to go if they want to reach that third straight state title.
Talk about the trip to Alaska. It's lots of times we see teams make trips to Florida or Georgia or Mississippi or somewhere to play, maybe Las Vegas. How did a trip to Alaska come to be?
I know, it's one of the struggles, the backsides of success, especially in the state of Alabama with high school sports, is when you get to that level, teams around here don't want to play you in the non-conference. Like they know they don't want to sign up for a 40-point loss, and so teams like Hoover and Hoover's girls basketball program has dealt with this kind of thing for years. Like the main non-region games that they get throughout the year across state lines or in prestigious tournaments or showcase events that are nationally recognized, things of that nature. if I'm not mistaken, I think about 10 years ago, when Charles Burkett was still the coach at Hoover, they went to this tournament in Alaska in late January, and they had won the thing. So there was some familiarity there, some connection. But Hoover wrapped up area play a little bit earlier, and they took off for Alaska, and it was there were a few pretty good teams in that tournament. I mentioned that one team from Alaska that took them to overtime, and then Hoover turns right back around the next day and wins the championship game of that tournament by 30. But it just goes to show that, nationwide, the Hoover High School athletics brand is certainly recognized. I mean, everybody knows about the football team and has for 25 plus years, but those basketball programs at Hoover have done an amazing job of continuing to capitalize on that brand, and what they're doing now is pretty special to see.
Yeah, and Crystal Johnson, we're very familiar with her, Kyle. We know she came from Huntsville High to go to Hoover and come back home to her alma mater. And the level of consistency from those young ladies is amazing because you just sort of mentioned it. They're everybody's Super Bowl in Alabama, certainly, but she's always kind of had a knack for. And I remember the first time I ever watched her coach at Huntsville, I knew she was different. She got the Crimson Panthers, the ladies, to the Final Four, and certainly as soon as she's gone back to Hoover, they've turned into one of the not just the best program. One of the best programs in Alabama, along with Hazel Green. But you could argue that Hazel Green and Hoover might be among the top 10 programs in the United States overall.
100%. Yeah, you mentioned what Crystal's done at Hoover has been so cool, so impressive to watch, and they are on their drive to 5 is what they've called it. I mean, Hoover's girls have won 4 straight Class 7A state championships, which is mind-numbing in and of its own. And just when you think Hoover might be ready to kind of plateau and maybe, that dynasty maybe on the back end, don't worry. They've got an 8th grader, Kristen Winston, that is the next big thing in the state of Alabama. So Hoover's got Albertville tomorrow as well on the girls' side. They've won 4 in a row, going for 5, and they're not going away anytime soon.
Talk about the matchup tomorrow on the boys' side between Huntsville and Hoover. What kind of stands out to you in this one?
Yeah, well, I'll defer to you guys. Simon Walker been battling some injury issues. He looked good enough to me against Vestavia. Is he feeling all right, ready to be full bore for this one?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did. I thought he looked really good. He got back in the flow quickly. He had 5 threes, against Vestavia, and I thought he was moving really well. So that was going to be interesting because sometimes when you've had an injury and he did not play in the area tournament, you wonder how quickly in a game of that nature, because you know how it is, Kyle, for going forward after the area tournament, it's win or go home. So you're in these situations where you have to win or the season's over. They're all kind of sudden death games. And so, and they needed them against Vestavia because Vestavia, they came out. Barksdale was shooting the ball very, very well. The young sophomore big gave Huntsville some problems, no question about that. And so his shot-making ability allowed Huntsville to relax a little bit and get up double figures in the first half. They only led by 7 at halftime, but his health, I thought he looked pretty good, and did a nice job. Looked good on defense as well. So I thought Huntsville stepped up, and I think it's going to be really fascinating to watch because Dwayne Brown is a force of nature, one of the best bigs in state history, going to play for Rick Barnes at Tennessee. And Huntsville has the size to match up with Hoover. They've got Josh Bowman, the Chattanooga signee. They've got a young kid who's kind of come on this year in Evan Toms, who's going to be a Division I player. But I know Hoover has the ability to play 2 bigs at once as well. So it's going to be really interesting. And, and with the guard play that Hoover's got, the 2 seniors, outstanding guards. Huntsville's got J.D. Gossett, who had a really big second half and kind of took the game over in the third quarter. He's a very crafty, strong guard. And then they've got Eli Stapler, steady as she goes, point guard. And Braden Rivers is kind of become the junkyard dog, the Muhammad Diabate, so to speak, with his ability to rebound and be long at 6'7". I just think it's going to be really, really interesting. I think Hoover would probably like to play a little faster than Huntsville in this matchup because they've got such great athleticism, and I know they turn you over. And I'll just say this. I mean, watching Hoover, the times I have, I mean, Albertville was hanging in there within, I don't know, they were around 7, 8, 10 points. It was still a competitive game. And then all of a sudden, one of those patented runs take place. Salim makes a couple of threes. And like you said, before you know it, it's a 25-point game and the game's over. So Huntsville's got to avoid letting Hoover go on one of those big runs early.
Yeah, and if there's one thing that I know about Christian Swears, he's been working on this game plan for 5 or 6 months. So I know he's going to be dialed in for this one. The guy can really coach, and just what he's done at Huntsville the last several years. I mean, obviously you have your big-time players and prospects, but what he's done to build that program has been incredible to watch from, seeing him as an assistant with Bucky at Mountain Brook all those years, and to see him have his own program and have the success that he's had has been really cool to watch. So Huntsville, I know, will be ready. So it's going to be a big time game, and if Huntsville, if they get off to a good start, then anything can happen. But like I said, if Hoover's able to get a handle on the game and stretch out a lead, it's going to be tough for Huntsville to claw back into it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and before we let you go, Kyle, we'd be remiss because you did mention Hoover football and the brand they've had for 25 years. Our great friend Chip English, of course, took over that program in a difficult circumstance this year, won the region, got to the semifinals, and has now been named permanent head coach. Kind of talk about Chip's first year and going forward. I know he's super excited. He's made some big-time hires to his staff. It definitely looks like Hoover is going to continue to be a force, and beating Thompson, I know, was significant. I know they went on and won the state championship, but being able to win the region as an interim head coach, I know went a long way for him getting that title removed.
Yeah, absolutely. Chip English did that thing where you give the school no choice but to give you the permanent job, which is what he did. He took over some incredible circumstances to navigate and did a tremendous job with it. So Hoover put together a great season last year. It's been a little uneasy in Hoover the last handful of years, trying to get back to that level that, Thompson kind of, stolen the mantle of dominance from Hoover in this part of the state. So Hoover's been looking for the way to get back to the mountaintop. And Chip English did a tremendous job last year, like you mentioned, big-time hires. I mean, he's bringing in Daryl LeBeau to be his offensive coordinator, and LeBeau's had a ton of success at Pleasant Grove as a head coach the last several years, especially making that championship game several times. So I'm expecting another step forward for this Hoover football program in 2025, and Chip English is, it's good to see him get the permanent job because he's such a great guy and has done a great job to this point.
He's a super guy. We talked to him during the run. Well, Kyle, we appreciate the time. Let everybody know how to follow your coverage. We know you're going to be in Jacksonville covering this gargantuan matchup between number 1 Hoover and number 3 Huntsville. But just go ahead and let everybody know how to follow you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm on the way to Montgomery now. I got another game down here today, and then several more from my area in Jacksonville tomorrow. But I'm at Kyle Parmley on Twitter. So I'll be posting all the updates. Be driving all over the place, and excited to see what this final stretch of basketball season brings us.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
absolutely. Safe travels, bud.
Appreciate it, guys. Good to be on with you.
All right, Kyle Parmley, kind enough to join us there, and do again. Let's tell you what. Let's get a break in. 8:26 on a Wednesday morning. Talking ball at 97.7 ESPN Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly cloudy to overcast sky this afternoon. Temperatures are going to the mid and upper 30s, which is really good news because it's going to melt away whatever fell late last night. Now, it is going to be incredibly cold as we head into the overnight. We are going to have to watch for a couple of slick spots, but those slick spots, for the most part, we're dropping into the mid and upper teens as we head into the overnight early into your Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, definitely going to be on the colder end of the spectrum, only climbing into the upper 20s and lower 30s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
They're still working on that wreck at mile marker 10. That's very close to Toyota Field. It had westbound stop completely at times. They finally started letting the far right lane go, but it's a very, very slow go for you there. Had a wreck 565 and I-65 on the southbound ramp. It should be cleared up now. Need help with projects, leave coverage, or maybe staff positions? Snelling can help with admin, business support, and accounting. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Insulation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and to quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
You've got to experience Toyota-thon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyota-thon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That you scheduled your wedding and even your child's birth around your school's game? Of course. But it means more than that. It means you're home to hundreds of Fulbright, Truman, Goldwater, and Rhodes Scholars. It means starting out as the birthplace of American public higher education, and now leading the way in unmanned spacecraft. This is the SEC. And here, it just means more. What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That there's an honest-to-goodness chandelier in your tailgate tent? Perhaps, but it means more than that. It means pioneering medical solutions to predict new flu viruses. It means leading globally diverse teams to eliminate starvation in developing countries. And it means being home to one of the nation's top cybersecurity programs. This is the SEC. And here, it just means more.
The best in local sports talk from the 256. We are local.
When you're number one, you don't have to worry.
We are award-winning. Thank you for listening. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You'll be set for life.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. It may not be the prettiest of shows, but by golly, we're making it through. 30 more minutes left of the program. Kyle Parmley joined us there right before the break as we were talking a little Hoover perspective from tomorrow's game. Again, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We'll have the game for you live from the Pete on the campus of Jack State University, Huntsville and Hoover at 10:45 in the morning. And coming up here in just a minute, Huntsville High head coach Christian Schweer is going to join us via the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline as we get a little perspective from the Huntsville side.
Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing from Coach Schweers, no doubt about that. I know he's locked in. The kids are are ready, for this challenge. I think they've been looking forward to it since the missed opportunity in the Final Four last year. And I don't think anyone, when the season wrapped up a year ago, was anticipating it being in the same regional, Scott. But again, you never know what's going to happen with realignment. We've seen a school like Spain Park move down, and as you remember, Spain Park many times in Jacksonville State matched up with Huntsville High. They actually got beat in their area tournament last year, and that's why Huntsville ended up playing Grissom because Chelsea upset them and got to the regionals over here at Jack State. Huntsville and Grissom won their matchups and then played for the fourth time, and Jack Doss's group pushed Huntsville to the brink before Huntsville put it away late in the fourth quarter. I think the Grissom Tigers got within 4 in the fourth quarter before, J.D. Gossett and Caleb Harrison, who's redshirting for Bucky McMillan over at Samford, kind of took over the game late. Braden Rivers got a huge dunk in the last, minute of play. But again, they're going to have to go through Hoover, and everyone's looking forward to the contest and watching two teams. And the refreshing thing is, we've talked about Caleb Holt, transferring to Grayson, Georgia. There's been a lot of players leave our state and go out of state to play and finish their high school careers. But the great thing is, and it's great for high school basketball here, is that the Hoover kids stayed together. They're seniors. They've been together a long time. You heard Kyle Parmley talk about them being a big part of things since they were freshmen. And from the Huntsville High perspective, this group of players has been a big part of it really since middle school, and they've stayed together and been in this program a long time. Simon Walker was kind of the last piece as he transferred in as a sophomore, but he's played AAU basketball with all these guys, and to see them, stay the course and continue to play together. And now you're going to see kind of the final chapter between Hoover and Huntsville, because they played last season and then the year before when that Hoover group was sophomores and this Huntsville group was sophomores. Hoover won impressively over there. Huntsville won impressively, at Huntsville High last December. But now, this will be kind of the third chapter in this trilogy, and everybody's looking forward to it on a neutral floor in Jacksonville tomorrow. And just honored that you and Steve and our station here at 97.7 The Zone is going to be able to bring the listeners the ball game.
All right, let's talk to Coach Schweers.
And now we are going to talk to the head basketball coach of the Huntsville Crimson Panthers. 5 straight Elite Eights now for Huntsville as they dispatch of Vestavia Hill 79-57. And now I think the game everyone's been waiting on, the Huntsville Crimson Panthers taking on the Hoover Bucks. And Christian Schweers has been kind enough to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Drew and Scott. Good to be with you guys this morning. How's the snow in Huntsville?
It's not too bad. It's coming down again. It's definitely coming down. Look, I'll tell you this. They weren't lying when they said, I was like, I don't think we're going to get anything out of this. They weren't lying. There's a good amount of snow on the ground outside. I mean, it's a good amount, and it's coming down pretty good right now.
Yeah, that's good. Hopefully, it'll kind of wear off later in the day, and all the fans from North Alabama will be able to travel tomorrow. We luckily got out of Dodge yesterday and left last night at around 6:00 and headed on to this area, and we don't have any snow here, so that's good. So we're locked in and ready to go.
Well, and Coach, Kyle Parmley from Starnes Publishing, he does a great job covering Hoover, joined us earlier in this hour and kind of gave us the Hoover perspective and how well they played, going 32-0, and really only been tested in one game this year, as we know, the semifinal. From a nationally ranked squad out in California, they win that game in overtime. But I know your team did a nice job against a very gritty Vestavia Hills program that you're very familiar with. But then we saw the return of Simon Walker, who had missed the area tournament, but I thought did a great job with his bench energy and keeping his teammates in it. And it was really, a key part of the win the other night, his shot making in the first half that kind of allowed everyone to settle down, I thought.
Yeah, I thought that was a huge key in the game. Experienced some adversity early with foul trouble, that you don't always expect, but it happens sometimes. And I thought Simon's mentality and his attitude and positivity while he's been out the last few weeks, it bled over into the game when he got back on the floor. And he played like a vet. I mean, he was a calming presence for the younger guys that were on the floor with him. And then just the ability to step up and make shots to kind of keep us going while we had 3 starters out in foul trouble spoke to the maturity that he's played with this year.
Coach, obviously, this is the game that a lot of people have circled on their calendars. It's a game you guys have circled on your calendars. The regional final matchup with Hoover. It's not just a game. I mean, it's a big game, but yet at the same time, too, it's the next game. How do you balance that with the guys that with all the emotions of this game? How do you balance it that yes, it is a huge game, but it's also just the next game?
Yeah, I think that, you put yourself in a little bit of danger when you start trying to take yourself out of the game as a player and coach and become a fan and start looking at things from the fan perspective. Like, these are things we can't control. And, we're going to play them tomorrow at 10:45, regardless of what we think about the game. We got to treat them just like we've treated everybody else for a long time, not just this season, but I'm talking years in our program of trying to do the things the right way. And that's a nameless, faceless opponent. And it's about our standard and controlling what we can control. And you have to rely on that in these quote unquote big games, because if you don't, well, then you're setting yourself up for disaster. You're trying to all of a sudden become something you're not for one game. And you tend to just not do your habits. And when you don't do your habits at a high level, you're usually not very successful, particularly in the big games. And so that's what we've been trying to preach to our guys. We haven't really made it anything bigger than the last game, because I think that's just the way we operate here. And it's been good. That's been a good process for us.
It really has, no question, Coach. And then I thought going through the adversity you did against Vestavia, having 4 of your starting 5 really in foul trouble coming out of the locker room, you had to rely on your bench, and you've done a great job this year, in developing them throughout the season. So when a guy like Hudson Gossett has to play heavier minutes, and then he had to play heavy minutes in the area tournament because Simon Walker wasn't there. You got a guy like Trey Pinnell playing above the rim, had a really nice dunk. And then, of course, we all know Evan Toms. I mean, when he was starting in the area tournament, was MVP, averaging 19 and 10 when Simon was out. But he's also done a great job. He had 10 more off the bench the other night. I thought the bench and the way they played and the poise that they played with against a Vestavia program that's used to success and certainly had some veteran talent. I thought that really it was kind of a watershed moment, so to speak, after playing a game like that, where again you can't control how a game's officiated. You have to react to it, and I thought the way the bench played was key in the win.
Yeah, our bench has been one of our strong suits all year long. If you've watched us play, those guys are really good. They're talented. They're smart. They're tough, and they've had to go against our starting 5 about every day in practice for about 8 months. So they had no choice but to get better and grow. And everybody's got confidence on the team. And when your number's called, you got to be ready to go and perform. And Evan's been performing. He's going to do that now. Like, he's gotten to the point of consistency where he is just going to continue to bring what he brings to the table night in and night out. And, it's good to see guys like Cam Carney step up and play well. Hudson's been solid all year. And Trey Pinnell has continued to get better just as a freshman. And so we're going to need everybody ready to roll tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen, but we've got confidence in all our players to come in and perform. And, I don't think the moment will be too big. I think our schedule has prepared us. I think the games that this team has played the last several years, big games, has prepared us. And so, I just think that it's going to be, candidly speaking, I mean, this is a Super Bowl of a basketball game for our state. I can't remember the last time that there were two nationally ranked teams ranked as high as both Hoover and Huntsville are playing in a playoff game. And it just speaks to the level of play that's going on in Alabama right now, and we're certainly proud to be a part of that.
Well, talk about the matchup itself then. What's a couple big factors for Huntsville in tomorrow's game?
Yeah, I think the first thing is we just got to not turn the ball over for points. I mean, I think that's the main way that Hoover scores is off turnovers and then in transition and then off the offensive rebounding. And so we're just, and all of that, to me, what that says is toughness has got to be there for us, and both physical and mental toughness. And I think the game's got to start there for us. And then second, we've got to, get the game going in our tempo. And, we like to play fast. And I think that, that's got to be a key for us tomorrow. We're really good when we can get out and get the tempo going and the ball changes sides of the floor a few times, and our skill set and our decision making start coming into play. And I think that's a strength of ours. And the third thing is we've got to be able to withstand their run. We've been watching these guys all year, and they're just incredible. Particularly in the third quarter, they just seem to go on these massive runs, and you just got to withstand it. You got to be able to take a punch and get back up and keep going. And so, we just want to have it right there with a shot. Play each possession like it's the last, and have great belief about our team, and we'll let the chips fall where they may.
And then, Coach, talk about the growth of Braden Rivers, because once again, I thought he made some clutch plays in the game against Vestavia, rebounds, keeping the ball alive. It's kind of interesting since the summer. When he had a wrist injury, how he's kind of almost reinvented his game, so to speak, and become one of the toughest players, I think, in the state.
Yeah, and I want to speak to that. I'm glad you brought that up. I hope there are a couple of young players listening this morning, or some parents with young players. This is a great lesson. Braden, hitting it during the live period last June, sprained his shooting hand, his wrist, and couldn't really perform. And there are college coaches there to watch him play. And, this is quote unquote been built up as the biggest event of his basketball life, right? Opportunity to get a scholarship. He can't perform. And so at that Alabama live period, so we go through practice, and I just told him he had a choice. Like, he could focus on offense, or he could focus on effort, energy, toughness, being a good defender, being a good rebounder, and just competing, and let that be good enough. And I said, would you rather do that, or would you rather sit, for the Georgia live period, where there was going to be hundreds of college coaches? And so he decides to take option A, and he plays his tail off over in Atlanta last June, and he pops a big college offer, 3 that weekend actually, but UNC Asheville, where he eventually signed, who is leading their league this year and has a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. They fell in love with him because of his effort, his toughness, his ability to compete. And then when I told him about his wrist injury, and he's actually like a 42% three-point shooter, that was all it took. And so it's a great lesson for the players in this generation and parents that, the skill is important, no doubt, but the stuff that these guys are really attracted to, and the stuff that really makes you a good player, is the stuff that you can control. And if you've got measurables to go with it, like Braden does, you can be a special player without ever even shooting the basketball. And he's taken on that role and then some. I mean, he's been so good for us this year. He's been a top 2 player consistently all year. And, he'll have to bring that again tomorrow for us to have a chance.
Talk about the evolution and the maturation process of Evan Toms this year.
Yeah, talented, big guy. Kid's still just 15. He's got a bigger shoe size than his age, which is always a good thing. Wears a 17 shoe. These things are boats. These guys got multiple shoes in their lockers. And I walk by Evans, and his shoes are sticking out of his locker. So he's just he's got a great demeanor. He's kind of a jovial kid. Can really talk to him, carry on a conversation with you. crack jokes with you. And so when he gets in between the lines, though, he flips a switch, and he's a competitor. I saw him in the, 7th or 8th grade down at Hampton Cove, one of our feeder schools. And I thought then, I was like, man, this guy's got a chance to be really special. And he's continued to work hard. And I think the thing that has helped him is, and this is where playing with other good players can really help you. And some kids shy away from that. But, he took every advantage he could when Caleb Harrison was here last year. And we would have these post breakdown segments with Caleb and Josh and Evan. And, Caleb would just be wearing those guys out. But Evan would keep coming back at him, and it's made him a lot better, made him a lot tougher. And then now he's gotten to go against Josh, and now we've got David Harrison kind of in that mix. He's a 6'9" sophomore that really athletic, got a chance to be a good player down the road one day too. And so it's just kind of become a big man fraternity over here. And these guys have sharpened each other in practice, and Evan's definitely been, he's definitely improved because of that. And I thought the way he's playing right now is the way I thought he would play heading into the season. And he got sick. He had pneumonia in November, and it just took him a while to kind of get going from a conditioning standpoint. And I feel like he's been lights out here the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, he really has. He's been special. And then another thing I mentioned before you came on with us, it's just these two teams, how old they are and how long they've been together. Kyle Parmley kind of mentioned it. This Hoover group has been a huge part of them going on this one of the best runs in state history. You were part of one of those two at Mountain Brook. They've had their guys there since 9th grade. Some of your guys have been there since 7th and 8th grade. And this is a rarity in high school athletics now. And it's become a kind of a sad thing because we see so many kids going to the prep school route or leaving the state. But that's another cool thing about this game tomorrow is this is, I think, the two best teams in the state right now. But they stayed together. They're veteran groups that have kind of grown up playing with around, playing together. And it's going to be an epic showdown. But I just think it's a really cool thing for high school basketball in our state to have two veteran teams like this that have stayed together.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I think that should be mentioned. That it should be championed. That these two teams are true high school teams that have players on the teams that are all really good. I mean, you're going to have multiple Division I players on the floor at one time. At some point tomorrow, you're going to have 4 6'9" players on the floor at one time. Wow. They have 2 6'9s and we have 2 6'9s. And that's going to happen, for a large majority of the game tomorrow. And, you don't think Dwayne Brown was getting hounded to go to prep schools. You don't think there are people trying to get in his parents' ear about money and, that kid decided to stay and wanted to play with his friends. And we have players that people were trying to get to go to prep schools, and you don't think they were listening to it, and they ignored it, and they said they wanted to play with their friends or brothers, and they said, this is the best time of my life right now. I don't want to wish it away. And so I think it's special that these two teams are playing tomorrow with players on both teams who have that kind of character and that kind of commitment to their program and their teams. And it's just something that's very cool, and I think that's why all the fans should be there tomorrow is to celebrate that. And, Hoover's ranked 6th in the country. They haven't lost in forever. So they're a special team, and we're 21st in the country, and we're 32-1, and we have a special team. And so it is unfortunate that both teams have to play in the Elite Eight. But it's the format we have, and you're not going to hear me get on here and complain about it. I think that obviously that needs to change, but it's what we have for now. And we could be in a scenario where these two don't play at all. And that would be a shame too. You want to see two of the best teams in the country in your state play each other in the playoffs. And so I'm hoping that it's a sellout tomorrow. I know I've been getting texts for weeks from coaching friends and people I know that live in other states that are planning on being here tomorrow. And I think that's awesome for high school basketball in Alabama. I think it's awesome for these kids and these two programs.
Well, We're excited to be a part of it, and it should be a fantastic day tomorrow inside the Pete.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let the snow melt and let everybody get on the road and come out and see some outstanding action between two great programs and two great teams. Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking the time out to join us before practice today. We know preparation is ongoing for this matchup that I know everyone's been looking forward to. We certainly appreciate your time, and we look forward to a great game of competition tomorrow between two outstanding programs. But appreciate it this morning, and have a great practice later today, and go Big Red.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me on, and just want to leave you with this. Go Big Red.
All right, let's get that final break in. When we come back, we'll wrap up what has been a fun 2 hours.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Tuscaloosa, we live by the blue-collar basketball motto.
Stepping back, deep three,
Hard work.
2-on-1, driving, stepping through, top shot, got it to go.
Teamwork.
Playing the song for the champions of the Southeastern Conference.
Join us for every game right here on your home for Alabama basketball.
Listen to Alabama basketball all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through his eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama, located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And your tomorrow's headline today, we mentioned it just a little bit ago, but last night, Florida, Mississippi State, and LSU, all winners on the hardwood in the Southeastern Conference. LSU over South Carolina, 81-67. State over A&M, 70-54. And Florida over Oklahoma, 85-63, Drew. And remember, we talked about Joe Lunardi's bracketology. For some odd reason, Joe Lunardi also had Oklahoma in his last four in yesterday when he released his bracketology. Oklahoma and Arkansas were both in the last four in. There is no way in creation now that Oklahoma is in the last four in.
Yeah, I mean, they've played extremely poorly. I mean, Scott, I'll be honest with you. I think we talked about it earlier in the week. We talked about it with Blake Lovell of Southeastern 16. Once they had that disaster at home against LSU, who that had come in with only one conference win, to me that sealed Oklahoma's fate. And I don't think there's any way that they're getting in the tournament. And I think Auburn can go a long way tonight. We kind of talked about it in our number one, I think Auburn's going to take care of Arkansas. I just think the SEC is going to start – that field and that bubble is going to start shrinking for the SEC. And I still think 11 is probably the number, maybe 12. But I think there's 5 squads that are really going to start feeling the heat from the standpoint. And LSU and South Carolina, their fate's already sealed.
We're going to be back at it tomorrow. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Are you trying to find a new house? Are you trying to find the right loan, the right people to do your loan? Look no further than the Bank of Frank Ewing and Hazel Green. John Kendall, the vice president